The ability to snap an application in Windows 8 is a feature that you're going to hear a lot about, and in this two-part series I want to first kind of give you the lowdown, if you will, on snapping apps, and then in the part 2 we'll actually jump out into the interface and I'll show you how to do this and what it looks like. Now you'll hear a lot about this because it's part of the Metro interface, and anything having to do with the Metro interface is getting a lot of attention. Now the first thing, if you remember, we talked about this earlier, Metro applications always run in full screen mode. Now that's great for small screens, cell phone screens, small slate or tablet screens, that sort of thing. It's really cool. However, now we've got kind of a reverse problem that we had before. When we get to a large screen, a full-size monitor using Metro apps, we realize that because of the minimalist functionality design of Metro apps, we realize that we're wasting a lot of real estate on large screens, and it would really be neat if we could have more than one app out there. Well, the snap functionality comes to the rescue almost. Now this is very similar to the side docking feature on the Windows 7 desktop. If you remember, in Windows 7 you could go grab an open window in Explorer on the desktop and just drag it to either side of the screen, and you would see a little snap occur, and you could let go and it would automatically take up half the screen. So you could open two apps, one on the left, one on the right, and they would both take up exactly 50% of the screen. Well, this is similar to that, but it does have some limitations, and you just need to be aware of these. Well, first let's talk about what Snap does. It does give the ability to see two Metro apps on the screen at the same time. Now, one of these can be the desktop, by the way, and here's kind of the rub on it though. One side covers about 70% of the screen, the other covers 30%. And so when you want to use them, you'll have to kind of play with the layout just a little bit, and what most people end up doing so far in testing and through the beta versions and release previews and all, to get where we are today with RTM, is most people would predominantly work on the app that's on the 70% side. Now some apps work really well on the 30% side, and some are totally useless on the 30% side, okay? But you can't go 50-50 and all that. It's 70-30. And again, the desktop can be one of the snapped apps, and so that's turned out to be pretty useful for people this early on looking at Windows 8 in functionality. Now let's talk about what Snap does not provide, and quite honestly this is where Microsoft still got some work to do. On customization, you can't customize it. The 70-30 split can't be adjusted. You're stuck with that. You're just going to have to live with that for a while. The arrangement cannot be justified. It's left or right. It's not up or down, that sort of thing, top, bottom. All you get is left and right. It's not a big deal because even in the Windows 7 docking functionality, you only had left or right. So most people won't miss that. Now, the functionality on snapping is limited to what the developer included in the application. Look for this to increase as developers learn some of the tricks, get more exposed to more and more of the Microsoft developer training on this. Microsoft did a really good job of doing these boot camp type development 2-day events all throughout the beta process on Windows 8. I attended a couple of those. They were very, very interesting. They taught us a lot of cool stuff, but there's just a lot to learn out there. There's a whole separate API for developing these things. If you know what I'm talking about, good. If you don't worry about it. Here's the bottom line. Look for this snapping app functionality to improve significantly in the future as we see updates, service packs, whatever, however Microsoft chooses to do this. But the snapping apps is getting a lot of attention, positively and negatively. A lot of people are wanting more, and Microsoft's hearing that, and they're working on it. Now here's the fine print on Snap that you really need to be careful with, and this is somewhat surprising. Snap requires that you have a resolution on your monitor, be it a tablet, whatever, of 1366 by 768 pixels or higher. If you don't have that much resolution on the monitor, snapping apps will not work. Keep this in mind when you purchase a slate. If you go out there and purchase a slate at a store and you're thinking, well, I'm going to go home and load Windows 8 on this, or I'm going to buy this, it's kind of cheap and it's running Windows 8. If it doesn't have 1366 by 768 or higher, you're not going to be able to do snapping apps on it. And I think it was a developer preview of Windows 8. You could go in and hack the registry and turn that off. That stopped working on the release preview. And we don't even really want to go there at RTM, okay? Just understand that you need a resolution of 1366 by 768 or higher. So just watch for that. When you go get a slate, if you want all the full functionality of Windows 8, make sure you hit that resolution. So that's kind of the fine print, the rest of the story, if you will, on snapping apps. And in part 2, we'll jump out into Windows 8 and take a look at using snapping apps. There's some functionality here, but it'd be really neat to see a few more things get added to it.